guys, what is up? My name is Megan. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Hope you guys are doing well and staying safe. Today we're here to talk about all the diverse books. While the Black Lives Matter movement occurred, I made a promise to myself that I wanted to keep educating myself, keep reading and promoting authors of color and just diverse authors in general, and I want to stick to that, and I made a commitment to myself, and I thought that I would share with you guys some of the books that I have on my TBR that I want to get to, as well as some of the books that I've read by diverse authors that I really enjoyed and thought you guys might want to read as well. I think it's important to constantly be reminded of such things, and I am not here to say that my opinion matters at all in this matter. Obviously, own voices, reviewers, and just anyone in the book community or anywhere else on the internet or real life space that is of color or is diverse is of much more importance than I am. I just think I want to use my platform to kind of talk about the books I am finding and enjoying. So that's where we're at today. Again, I loved all these books, and most, or if not actually all of the books on here are by own voices authors as well, so I think that for the diversity, at least it is their experience and they're all very valuable. So I have like 5 books on here that I want to talk about that I've read and really loved. Some are more popular than others, and then I want to talk about the books that I have on my bookshelf by diverse authors that I really want to get to as soon as possible. So let's dive into the books that I have read and want to discuss. 3 of the books on here are by Talia Hibbert. Talia Hibbert has become one of my all-time favorite romance authors, if not my favorite. I just adore her books. So the first book series I want to talk about today is A Girl Like Her by Talia Hibbert. This is the first book in the Ravenwood series, and I absolutely loved this book. It impressed me so much. This, I think, is an earlier work of Talia Hibbert, and it was self-published as well, and it's just such a charming series. It's called the Ravenwood series because that's where the books occur. This first book follows a main character named Ruth, and obviously, as the cover would suggest, Ruth is a Black woman, and she also is on the spectrum. Her past is kind of hard, and she has kind of been outcast by her town and has been in some very poor relationships that were kind of abusive, so there are trigger warnings for that. And so we follow her perspective as she is kind of enclosed and keeps to herself in her apartment and has this real obsession with comic books, which I just loved reading about. She creates her own comic book series and is just like a recluse. She really focuses to herself, only hangs out with her sister and her mother. We also follow a boy in this, which the main love interest was fabulous. He's called Even, and he's from the ex-military. He has moved to Ravenwood not long ago, has started work at this, I think he's a blacksmith, so blacksmith shop, I don't remember what they're called. And obviously Ruth and Even have an encounter. They are also ended up being next door neighbors, and so they have kind of a friendship that develops, and over time it turns into a relationship with their complications. Obviously the town drama and Ruth's past kind of come and put some things in shambles, and I really loved this book for a multitude of reasons, but I think the most incredible part of this is how Even was able to respect Ruth and kind of not push her boundaries. He really understood that she had her own needs and he respected her. He never pushed her, and he also was not the kind of man to take everyone's word without having any proof. Like, he kind of just put aside what people were saying about Ruth and decided to make his own perspective and image of her, which I really appreciated. This book tackles a lot of different things, but the romance is also wholesome, so I recommend this first book at least in the series. The next book I want to talk about is actually Intercepted. I'm going to hold on to Fumbled because I don't have Intercepted with me right now. This is by Alexa Martin. This is a NFL romance series. I will be talking about Fumbled more when I talk about my TBR because this is a book I still need to read. But if we're going to pretend that this is Intercepted, actually let me just put up an image. Intercepted is the first book in a series where we follow different women who are entangled with the lives of NFL players. Basically, in the first one, we follow a main character who has a boyfriend who is an NFL player. At the beginning of the book, she learns that he has cheated on her, and so they break up, and she promises herself to never be in a relationship with a professional sports player anymore. All of that changes when I think a man she once met, I don't remember how they met or how long they were like in communication, but he actually joins the NFL team, and so their relationship starts blooming. There's a lot of drama. The writing is amazing, and it's just such a fun thing to read about, like women who are kind of entangled with the NFL and just like the relationship dynamics and the sports. It's all fabulous. This I could kind of compare to the Bromance Book Club, except it's not baseball, it's football, and it's black main characters. Highly recommend. The next two I guess I could talk about together, and that is Get a Life Chloe Brown and Take a Hint Dani Brown. Both of them are chef's kiss. I am in the unpopular opinion here that I love Get a Life Chloe Brown just a little bit more than Take a Hint, but both of them are absolutely amazing. Again, by Talia Hibbert. Both of these feature female black main characters, and they are both incredible. Chloe is actually diverse in the sense that she also is included in the chronic illness. I don't even know how to describe it, but basically she has a chronic illness, and so there is a rep for that as well. In this one, Chloe Brown has a near-death experience, and so she decides to create a kind of like a bucket list of things she wants to do to get a life, and we follow her through that and how she falls in love with a wonderful man named Red, I don't remember. And in Take a Hint Dani Brown, we follow Dani, who is Chloe's sister, and she is earning a PhD in literature, and she believes in kind of like witchcraft and these kinds of things, and is not really interested in a relationship at the minute. She is also very much friends with a boy named Zafir, and he saves her from the elevator. Crisis occurs basically, and so they have like a fake dating relationship that turns real. Both of them are amazing, have great rep for a lot of different things, and I could not recommend this enough. Obviously, this is a very popular series in the romance community and just booktube in general, so I'm not going to elaborate much more, but I love them. And the last book I want to talk about is actually Party of Two by Jasmine Guillory, I never know. This is the 5th book in the Wedding Date series, which you can always read them out of order. I read book like 1 and like 4, and then this one, and this has to be my favorite. It is also her newest release in this series, and I just adore it. This is obviously another book with a black main character. We follow an older woman in this one. We follow a main character named Olivia, and I believe she's around like 40 years old. She has been in the law business for several years, and at the beginning of this story, she decides to actually move from New York to LA and open her own law firm with one of her friends. She encounters this man who is part of the Californian Senate. He is white, and it is their romance and the complications of having a relationship between a white man and a black woman, especially when politics are involved. I love the romance, and the main male character was really fun to read about, and it was really interesting to see our main female character Olivia talk about the difficulties she faces every day and her worries about being in such a public relationship with a man who is not of color himself, and the implications it has. It is beautiful, funny, it's kind of lightweight but also packs a punch, and I feel like not enough people are acknowledging this book. Again, I can't speak for the diversity itself, but I think it was a really fun read and I really enjoyed it. Now let's move into my own TBR of all the books I want to read. The first one is actually not by a black author, but it's also diverse, and that is the Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang, and this is obviously not a black main character. However, we have some Asian representation in here, and we follow also a main character who is on the spectrum as well. I believe the author herself is also on the spectrum, which is super interesting and makes the representation in here all that more valuable in my opinion. So we follow a main character, I believe, who is named Stella, and she does not have a lot of romance experience. I don't think she's ever even like kissed or had relationships with men, and so she hires this male escort, I believe, to kind of teach her ways, and they fall in love. I think that's what it is. Obviously, it's going to pack a lot more of a punch than just that, but in of itself, I think it's going to have super interesting conversations, and this has been hyped all over BookTube for years now. Helen Huang has other books, such as The Bride Test, and I believe there's another book in this series coming out as well, if it's not out already, and everybody has just given it such high praise, so this is definitely on my TBR, and I want to read more diversely, so this is really interesting. The next book I have is The Right Swipe by Alicia Rai, and I would love to read all of Alicia Rai's books. This follows a main protagonist of color, I believe, as well, and she has heavily focused on her career, not so much her romantic endeavors, and has also created this app, kind of like Tinder or all these kinds of things where you swipe right for, you know, and she had, I believe, like this one-night stand with this man, and she was really into him, and then he kind of ghosted her until he reappears, and I think he has like a competing company where he has a similar app, and then they're kind of rivals, but I guess they end up falling in love. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I get from the synopses, and those kinds of romances are always so interesting. I love like women in technology as well, so it's like a really great blend of things, and I'm looking forward to be able to read this one as well. The next book actually has a very similar premise when you think of it, and that is The Boyfriend Project by Farah Rochon, and this is also about a woman creating an app. But this one actually starts with our main character actually being catfished live on Twitter. I believe she's seeing a man who was also having like 3 other different relationships, and so our main character along with the other woman kind of make a pact to not date for a while, and so our main character decides to focus solely on the app she's creating, and I believe that through the app she falls in love again. Not too sure, but that's what I'm getting from the synopses. I think this one has a little bit more mixed reviews, but again, really intrigued to see how it goes. Maybe I could do a reading vlog reading both of these and like comparing them in synopses. Very interested in these kinds of books, clearly. Then we have Real Men Knit by Kawana Jackson. This is a book that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about, and it follows a main male character, actually, I think, who is named Jesse, and Jesse, along with his other adoptive brothers, had an adoptive mother, obviously, and she actually passes away, I believe, at the beginning of this novel, and this woman owned a knitting shop, and I believe that to make sure her legacy stays alive, Jesse and his brothers kind of take over the knitting shop, and Jesse falls in love with one of the women who works at the knitting shop. It sounds wholesome and sweet, it has all the cozy fall vibes, so I'm hoping to get to it soon, and I'm just really excited. I hope it like fulfills all my fluffy cravings for romance. We then have a historical romance, which is A Princess in Theory by Alyssa Cole. At least I believe it's a historical romance. Oh god, why am I questioning everything right now? But this is the first in the Reluctant Royal series, and it has such a funny premise in my opinion. This follows a woman who is very busy in life. I think she's in grad school and work, and she's trying to balance everything, and she keeps getting these like emails out she would think are spam about like a Nigerian prince, I think, that she is apparently betrothed to, and she thinks it's spam, but I actually think it's true. It might be like a misunderstanding, but it's actually happening, and I believe she falls in love with royalty, hence the Reluctant Royals, and I think at first she like really shrugs it off and is like, I'm tired of these spam emails, and then they end up falling in love. I want to read the entirety of this series as well. They're so cute, these little mass market paperbacks, and Alyssa Cole is really, really well known for her romance novels, and she recently came out with her first thriller, so we love a queen that is able to reach out and write a bunch of different genres. We then have the rest of the Ravenwood series by Talia Hibbert. As I mentioned, I did read the first book and absolutely adored it, so I do want to get to the final 2 books in this series, which are That Kind of Guy and Untouchable. Untouchable is actually the second one, and this one is the third. I cannot wait to read these. The writing style and the steamy scenes and everything in here are just really, really, really enjoyable, and so these are also on my TBR. Similarly, I also want to read Fumbled and Blitz by Alexa Barton. The 4th book in this series actually has come out in October as well, which is called Snap, so technically that would be on my TBR as well. These are the next 2 books in the series, which I don't even know what it's called at this point, but the first book was Intercepted, which I talked about in the beginning of this video, NFL romances, and I'm just really, really excited to see where these goes. Obviously, these are more side characters that were in the first book. It's a bunch of companion novels, and I'm excited. And then we have the Kingmaker series. It's called All the King's Men, and this is book 1. This is by Kennedy Ryan, and I think I heard Jess from Piece of Books say that there are some Native American representation in here as well. Kennedy Ryan is a black woman. I don't think she's Native American, so we'll see about the diversity for that one and the representation. I'm not quite sure, but I heard that she's done like a lot of research to portray the issues that Native Americans go through. I honestly don't quite understand the premise synopses of this one, but Jess made it sound incredible, and I wanted to give Kennedy Ryan a second chance because I think I could really like some of her books. I did read one of the novels, like the second book in her Hope series, and there was cheating involved in that one, and that's why I wasn't a fan, but I did really like the writing style, so if there's no cheating or any tropes that I highly dislike in this one, I think I could truly, truly love it, and I'm just super excited to give it another shot. Also, the aesthetics of this book are like amazing. Like the chapter, like the starting pages of chapters are all black, and it's just the vibes, you guys. So that's it for my video. I hope you enjoyed me talking about more diverse books. If you want me to do this for other genres or age ranges, let me know, and let me know if I made you discover a new author or if I just sparked some interest for you to read more diverse books. It's really important for us not to forget to read diversely and encourage authors of color and just all the diverse authors there are out there. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I'll see you very soon with another video. Happy reading, guys.